So let's talk about this half-high ball. After we serve this ball, the opportunity has actually already appeared. This situation is really very common. This is basically your current match situation. Your serve has started to show results in matches. But then you miss this ball yourself. When playing a half-high ball, you must learn one thing. Don't try to do it all in one step. After you serve, don't expect this foot to instantly land in the perfect position. Step back first, then move forward. Why do I ask you to step back? Look, that half-high ball is relatively short, so why still step back? So you don't get pinned down. You're creating space and finding the right position. This is exactly to help you avoid this situation. I ask you to step back first, to create space for the stroke. You must have a certain amount of space to the ball, to generate power. If I don't have space, there's no power. After we serve this ball, if you serve one that isn't very spinny, don't stand too close. You need about 1 arm's length of distance. Create that space, then apply force forward. You see, now it looks very composed. At the same time, it also reduces the chance of rushing the timing. The second point. You must learn to rotate your waist. Why do you rush the timing? Because both shoulders go forward together. You should rotate your body first. Once you have body rotation, you won't rush anymore. You must learn to rotate your body. Basically, see the ball, rotate, then hit. It actually feels very natural. A half-high ball is truly an opportunity. It is not a trap. That's what you're served for. The third point, step in with your left foot. A lot of people get this wrong. You see, this goes straight into the net. Your jam. Yes, step in with the left foot. Because that ball isn't a short ball over the table. That right foot shouldn't move. This solves the problem very well. First, play from a sideways stance. Then go through the middle. On the forehand, you may need a bit of the right foot. When you first practice, let the right foot follow more slowly. As long as you don't cross-step awkwardly, it's fine. Many people think that for this ball, all forehands must step in with the right foot. Give me a push. When you step in with the right foot, your hip has no space left. You get pinned down, unless the ball comes perfectly to that spot. Otherwise you'll be jammed here. And here you're basically completely stuck. So the key points here are very important. 3 things to remember. 1 space. 2 rotate the waist. 3 step in. Create space. Rotate, step in. Once you do these 3 things well, a half-high ball is truly an opportunity. Many problems are not about the hand. They're about positioning and footwork. Let's explain the backhand as well. For balls like this that are a bit higher, we play them from the side. If you can turn, then turn, because the forehand has more power. For this kind of small half-high ball, or slightly longer ones, there are two options. The first is to hit, the second is to loop. I'll show you the hit first. Generally, I would hit this kind of ball. When hitting, you need to pay attention to three things. First, you must open the racket face. Second, and the most important, never make the motion too big. Yes, the motion must be compact. So the movement must be small. What does keep it small mean when you watch my motion? I know your arm can swing from here to there. Now cut that range in half and hit the half-high ball. Make the motion smaller. It absolutely cannot be too big. Look, I'm not even using much force, and the ball still goes out. The third and most critical point is don't use dead force. This is the key. If you can produce this kind of result, this ball is already good enough to score. You don't need to hit that hard. For this shot, I'd say I use about 50% power. That's enough for a half-high ball. Don't keep hitting the opponent's body. Hit more toward the middle. Why can they block your shot? Because you always hit this same area. Yes, control your power. And add some placement variation. This is a punch shot. In my backhand half-high balls, I mostly use punch shots. Now let's talk about looping. First point is the same as forehand. You must set the shoulder and elbow because you first need to press the racket down, so the elbow tip must be lowered. If you do it like this, it's very likely to go out. Lift and set the shoulder and elbow. That's the first point. The second point is to close the racket angle. The racket angle must be pressed down. Why do so many people miss on backhand? Look at my racket. Lift it up. You must close the racket and brush the upper middle part of the ball. The third point is don't use force only forward. Too much forward force sends it long. You must go more to the side. Move more sideways. Because this ball is relatively short. As the ball comes, bring in the right foot. Basically, once you hit it, you score. Many penhold players ask me, they can't do RPB. Then you can only step around. Yes, this is your weakness. So you have no other option. You must step around and hit. If you can do RPB, the backhand doesn't rotate the waist like the forehand. This is the backhand position. Next section is the hand skill. When I was young, I also missed half-high balls a lot. I'd get frustrated when I couldn't hit them. First, the principle of half-high balls is, the higher the ball, the higher the hand. If it's this high, my hand is this high. Your backswing should adjust to the height of the ball. What's the second principle? As long as you're hitting. Because it's backspin, you must open the racket angle a bit. Look, if I hit like this, it easily goes into the net. Because you haven't brushed yet. If you add brushing like this, it's fine. But if you don't brush at all, it will definitely go into the net. So you should open the racket angle more. The third point is the direction of force. Many players, once they see a half-high ball, turn it into a topspin motion and start hitting downward. That's how mistakes happen. Look at this ball. This isn't topspin. Everyone must remember to hit forward. not downward. So keep this in mind. Backswing, open the racket, hit forward. Yes, backswing, open the racket, forward. You must remember these 3 points. There's also a common mistake, which is making this motion too big. The backswing becomes too large, and the follow-through is also too big. This technique mainly uses the forearm. Focus on the forearm. Don't involve too much upper arm movement. Once there's too much upper arm motion, you lose control of the power on this ball. So the swing size must not be too big. Alright, now let's talk about looping. Looping is actually different from hitting. First point, when looping, you must find the upper middle part of the ball, because this ball isn't very spinny. If you loop with an open racket, it's very easy to loop it long. So you must close the racket. If your hand is too low, you'll miss the ball, so you must lift your hand and find the upper middle part of the ball. Yes, then it becomes very easy to loop. Second point, the height of the backswing should be slightly higher than the ball's normal midpoint. The third point during this loop is learning to pull back first, then drive forward. See, when you lift your hand like this, I can still generate power to loop. So the key to looping is to keep the racket closed. Even though the incoming ball is backspin, it's not very heavy. So you don't need to create spin like against heavy backspin. Half-high balls are different, it's much weaker. It must be height, closed racket, forward. Alright, looping also comes down to 3 points. Backswing, close the racket, forward.